Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It is shiny and spectacular. It's a special edition of Apple Slice. Fresh after Thursday's Apple event, myself, Simon, and Nick give you a taste of iPhone 7 Shades of Black, Apple Watch now ceramic, cutting cords with audio, and hey surprise, it's a Mario. Take a picture with two lenses, depth of field is never ending, Nike bands to set the score, twice the gigs and even more. Well, that was a mouthful, so now kick back and relax with a flavour-heavy Apple Slice. Right, so the Apple event is done, and it's pretty damn awesome. Nick, if you could sum it up in one or two words, what would you say?
Really exciting.
Yes, nailed it. Now, before we get into this special episode, this is actually the first time Apple Slice has gone international. So where are you now, Nick?
Yeah, I'm in South Africa, as our listeners know. I was born in South Africa, so I'm just basically back here visiting some family while I change jobs. So looking like I'll be moving to Sydney at the moment, which is pretty exciting. So yeah. Yeah,
that sounds pretty cool. There's a lot going on. And speaking of a lot going on, there was plenty in the keynote. So what we're going to do is cover the event in the order that it happened. So here it is. Now, it opened with couple karaoke with Tim Cook and the karaoke host, and then Pharrell Williams jumps in the back. Now, what did you think of this intro?
Oh, you can't see me smiling now, but just at the thought of it, I loved it. It was brilliant. So they often have like these videos where they started off, they've had like the one I remember that sticks out was where they like basically preached the ability to say no, and then, not to just make any old product. And this one was quite different. So it showed like a different side of Tim Cook, who's obviously had like a bit of, a few tough battles this year with FBI and encryption and that sort of thing. And then lately the tax part. So just to see him, a bit of a lighter side of him was quite fun.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. They really sort of changed it up, and it was a good way to introduce it, because then once he comes inside, he talks about it and says it's launching in Apple Music for 2017. And they then move on to say that Apple Music is now at 17 million subscribers. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was really impressive. So I think when Apple Music launched, there were only 20 million paying Spotify subscribers. So, in a year and a bit since they launched, they're basically nearing where they thought the sort of market was when they entered. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be within a year. Could they be up there with Spotify? I reckon, yeah.
I've been using Apple Music on iOS 10 for a while now, and it's actually quite nice. I've always I haven't ever had a problem with Apple Music, but the bold font, you'll be happy to hear, has grown on me, and it's actually more usable.
Yes.
So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
I expect
awesome
that number to grow more.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen on that redesign. So it's good news. Now, speaking of good news, the biggest surprise announcement, I was so happy, is Mario on iOS. So for iPhone and iPad, we have Super Mario Run. So it's going to be set at a fixed price, so no free to pay and constant upgrades and that sort of thing. It's a fixed price. I'm thinking max $10, probably $5 maybe. Now, when Shigeru Miyamoto, so he's the creator of some of the best-selling games of all times, and Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, when he came out on stage, I swear I almost started crying. Like, I was that overcome with joy, because it's like Nintendo for me, and particularly childhood and teenage years was such a big part of it. And then now Apple is such a big part of it. So to have two of those brands together was just amazing for me. Now, you said that your partner was particularly pleased with this announcement?
Yeah, so we obviously watching the keynote together, and as soon as Tim Cook said that there's one character missing from iOS gaming, she just immediately said Super Mario and started like jumping up and down and going absolutely wild. I was not that excited, but yeah, so she's really happy. I'm sure she'll have it like I've signed up for the notification, so we'll have it on day one, and it will be, yeah, there will be a lot of happiness in the house. Just, I never knew she actually liked Super Mario that much, so it was a learning.
Well, there you go.
Me,
The keynote previously, you found out about the allergy to penicillin, and now you found out that she loves Mario. So that's that's pretty cool. Now, so Shigeru starts off speaking English to the crowd. His English isn't that great. He sort of struggled a little bit there, and then he gets a translator out, and he did some classic things talking about how basically they've developed the game to be played one-handed, and he does a motion of you can play it on the train, you can play it eating a burger, eating an apple. It's just so classic, like that sort of cutesy Japanese humor, which I think is straight up Nintendo. So that presentation was awesome. And, you know, yeah, it could have been cool to have a traditional side-scrolling Mario where you kind of go, you know, left and right and you got full control. But I think their reasoning for having one-handed gaming is very good. And Shiggy, as, you know, Nintendo fans call him, was actually had a recent Time Magazine interview, and he discusses all this. So we posted that on our Facebook and Twitter, so you can check that out if you want. And they then moved on to the Everyone Can Code initiative for schools about teaching Swift. So do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so we've spoken a little bit about Swift Playgrounds on the podcast before. So basically, Apple's involved in a Connected program, and as part of the program, they have an Everyone Can Code initiative where basically people use Swift Playgrounds to learn to use Swift, which is really cool. So I'm quite a fan of it, and I think coding is quite important. Maybe it's a skewed view, but I think that's pretty cool that they're teaching youngsters to code.
Oh, I think definitely. I mean, even certain sides in politics here in Australia are pushing for more coding in schools, realizing that the way of the future and future jobs with such reliance on technology will involve coding. So this is awesome, and it's cool that they've continued this on in the keynote, considering the last, the WWDC, that's where they premiered it, so that's pretty awesome. And the next part was iWork real-time collaboration. I don't use iWork so much myself, but after seeing that, I thought that was pretty cool. What do you use?
I don't use iWork much. I used to use it like a bit at home, but I don't really have like kind of projects that I do or anything like that. And at work, Excel and is pretty much the only like sort of office suite thing that I use. So it kind of not that useful for me. But I would imagine someone like that, they used the example of creating a keynote together, which was pretty cool. And I could imagine other professions working collaboratively like that would be pretty useful.
It was awesome that they actually showed that the keynote runs on Keynote. Like, that was cool.
Do you reckon that was the real keynote? I'm not convinced that they actually edited the one they were doing.
Well, and
was up on the screen.
Yeah, I did sort of think that afterwards with the amount of sort of high quality video they include. I mean, for the still photos, yeah, maybe, but either way, whether they did or didn't, it was just cool to sort of bring iWork back into focus because it hasn't really been talked about for a while. Okay, so the first of the big products to be announced, Apple Watch. Start off with some awesome sales stats saying that in 2015, Apple was at number 2 of best-selling watches in the world. So it's number 2 to Rolex. That is awesome.
Yeah, and they only shipped 8 out of the 12 months of 2015, which they made a point. So it's not like they normalized sales or anything. That was comparing 2015, even if they had, like, as I said, only shipped 8 months. So that was really impressive.
Oh, it was awesome. And then they just casually throw in, we're also number 1 smartwatch in the world. So it's like, okay, then that's doubly cool. I mean, I did kind of assume that anyway, but it's awesome to go out there and say it.
They sneakily they like when they showed them growing to number 2, they made the little animation go over every single one along the way, which was just funny. Like we were better than Casio, then Tissot, and then like all the way right up below Rolex, which was just kind of, I guess, I found it a bit cheeky.
Yeah, they didn't sort of just appear out from the side. They kind of like completely drove over the top of them. So I know what you mean. And the next part is they announced Pokemon Go for Apple Watch. So this sort of shows how you can tie the game in with the fitness aspect of Apple Watch. It looked pretty cool in the demos, but to be honest, I think most players of the game would rather that Niantic focus on actually making the game more stable and bring more features rather than kind of throwing in another app. It's cool that they did it. I was a little bit unimpressed by the guy from Niantic presenting. He sort of seemed a bit... What do you think? He sort of seemed a bit tired, or...
Yeah, it's like he had somewhere else to be. That he was so... he was just completely... had no emotion. It was the weirdest person I've ever seen on stage at an Apple keynote, and I've watched them for many years, and it was just like he pulled out their version of a wearable and something, like he held it up in front of his face and was saying, this is one way to play Pokemon Go that we hope to have out soon, but anyway, this now Pokemon on Apple Watch. And it was just like, how is Apple letting you punch your own product before talking about the Apple Watch app? I don't know. He was just bizarre and just completely apathetic. I don't know. He was just...
Yeah, I definitely agree. I reckon they just could have announced it online or a separate event or something, because, I think maybe they were just trying to flow on from the Nintendo sort of relations, but essentially Pokemon Go is more the Pokemon Company and Niantic and less actually Nintendo. That part of it probably could have done without.
Yeah, so they had the CEO who speaks while the like little demo guy at the demo stand actually does the demo. He was pretty cool. He was quite funny. He did this fake little walk, and he was like, he was committed to it, even though he looked like, as an adult man, or as an adult, I'm not sure you really want to be looking like that. He was playful, which I don't know. He was committed, and I appreciated that. So he was all right. It was just the CEO that was like, what?
The CEO is probably under so much pressure because they're like, oh, we've had 500 million players, and he's sort of just, it almost, I know what you mean. It seems like he had somewhere else to be, or he's thinking about something else and he was just on autopilot or something. But anyway, once that was over, it was the new Apple Watches. Now, first of all, it's been named Series 2. I dig it. Do you?
Yeah, I dig it. It's quite interesting because you've now got Series 1 and Series 2, but Series 1 is not the original Apple Watch. There've actually been some tweaks to the original Apple Watch to make Series 1. So, it's basically just got an upgraded processor, and then they've named that Series 1.
Now, what actually makes, comparing to the original Apple Watch, what's in Series 2?
So compared to the original Apple Watch, Series 2's got improved waterproofing. So they made a big deal about how it can now do swimming tracking. So the original Apple Watch, I've always swum with it in like the sea and a pool, and it was fun. But now they're really punting that it's waterproof up to 50 meters. Although on the website I see they say like don't go diving with it. But so it was really cool. So they said they surveyed 700 or like monitored 700 different levels of swimmers, and they rigged them up to these machines because calorie counting on in a pool is quite difficult. So they really punted that, and it automatically tracks laps. I'm not a swimmer, but I spoke to some of my swimmer friends who said if it tracks laps, then they're pretty keen. So it turns out it does. So for swimmers, I'm sure it's a pretty big upgrade. It also has a GPU with 2 times faster performance and a different new processor. So the one in the Series 1 is called the S1P, which is a dual core processor. And then the one in Series 2 is called the S2 processor, which has the dual core plus, I think GPS is also on the chip. I think it's like it's not just a processor, it's like the whole computer brain. So it includes the RAM and all of that. So it is a slightly different chip to S1P because of the GPS, and it also has a twice as bright display, or just over. It's got 1,000 nits, So the old Apple Watch had a 450 nits, and yeah, that's a pretty big deal, especially on the Sapphire one where the light reflected a bit differently and you couldn't always see in direct light. So
yeah, the cool part about that was that fact that they said this is the brightest screen we've ever made on any device. So that was awesome. And one of my favorite bits about waterproofing was the fact that the speaker ejects the water.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. The way they demoed that was like, oh, we've made big improvements to make it waterproof, but the one thing we couldn't manage was the speaker, because the speaker needs air to like produce sound. And then they showed water getting in the speaker on the Apple Watch 1, or the original Apple Watch, and also Series 1. And then they showed like how they redesigned the speaker on Series 2, and then it like spits out the water when you're done with the workout. It was pretty cool. It was very Apple-y.
I can't unpicture there being a little army of soldiers inside the phone, just like inside the watch, just waiting for the water to rush in with like big shields just to push it back, like some sort of, stay away, like protecting the mother queen. I don't know. Yeah, it was, it's an awesome feature though. Like, I think that the fact that they've essentially, it looks the same, the size of the actual watch itself is the same and everything, but they've just done all these improvements internally. And yeah, as I said, we've said previously that Apple Watch has pretty good waterproofing anyway, but now they actually put in all the extra effort and features to go out and say that it's fully water resistant, so they can say it more with confidence. Even though the first one probably was fine anyway.
So the next person they had on stage to demo the GPS was, I can't remember the app, but it was for a hiking app, which was quite interesting because it was to demonstrate how you could go hiking without your phone. And I thought, especially localized to Australia, given the whole Trump family saga. I don't know if you saw that, but I think where you go without your phone is a pretty bad idea in case you get lost. So it's probably better to take your phone on a hike, even though your watch can handle the GPS on its own.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think the fact that they're pushing more towards the Apple Watch not having to rely on the phone is awesome anyway. And for anyone interested, the Series 2 models start at $529 Australian. Okay, now before we look at a couple of Apple Watch partnerships with two big brands, Apple have completely changed the edition watches. So two major things have changed. A huge price drop. So it now starts at $17.99 Australian. And there's no more gold. There is now ceramic. Now, this was a complete surprise. What did you think?
It came out of nowhere. It was a complete left field. It was... Now, we've briefly chatted about it, but I love it and I hate it and I'm confused by it, but I understand it. It's like I have the most conflicting feelings about this product that I've ever felt about an Apple product, because I'm not a huge fan of white, so already the color's an issue, but ceramic, I just imagine having a ceramic watch, and it's just so different to any of the other watches, and also it's an edition, so it's a much more affordable edition, and you get like the edition charging box and all the hype from the original edition. So if you really want it, you can now like get into the edition side, so that's exciting. But if they made black ceramic, I'm pretty sure I would have ordered one today.
Yeah, it did not leak at all. There was nothing about ceramic anywhere that I heard of. And it was, as you said, complete surprise. I do like the way that the light kind of hits it and it has that shine, but it also comes with a cloud sport band, so its own color. And yeah, I like the fact that I
just wonder what other bands it would work with. I can't picture it with like a leather buckle or one of the nylon bands. So I can't picture it with anything other than the sport band, and they don't let you do the mix and match on the website with the edition. It's like it's too cool for that. So I don't know. Hopefully,
could it go with the lighter nylon, like the whitest one, the pearl?
Yeah, it could probably look cool. They also they used to have the white classic buckle, which aside from the silver thing, probably would have went with that pretty well, but. I guess we'll see as time goes on. So it's a pretty exciting product, but I don't think I'll be getting one. I know I won't be getting one.
I am actually glad that they did this big change. They retained edition, but they brought down the pricing, completely new material. I'm actually glad that they got rid of trying to sell the $10,000 plus gold watches to the public. I always kind of felt a bit, well, not so embarrassed by it, but a bit like it was such a huge jump from stainless steel in pricing up to the previous edition. And yeah, it just felt awkward it being positioned amongst everything else in the online store and stuff. And yeah, now that they've got something that's much more an affordable but still a premium product, makes much more sense to me. We have 2 partnerships. So the Series 2 is launching with the Hermes models. So we covered the Hermes straps in earlier episode of Apple Slice. Now, I'm not so much into the double tour, double buckle, but the single tour bands I think are pretty awesome. I like the Etoupe Swift band color, so that muted greyish brown. And these start at $1,779 up to $2,349. So this makes Hermes technically the most expensive now out of the watches you can buy. So yeah, what do you sort of think about this range?
I've never really been a fan of the Hermes ones. My partner really likes it, but I think so. Just quickly, I think I am going to get Apple Watch 2. Well, I'm definitely going to get Apple Watch Series 2. So before we go into the final partnership, which is also an exciting one, my partner and I are both going to get stainless steel ones because she used to have the Sport and I have the stainless steel, but I'm going to go... I wanted to go Space Grey Sport, but they upped the price in Australia now. Now it's $579 and for a while it was $499. So it's $579 for the Space Grey. Well, it's not called Sport anymore. It's just stainless steel. It's aluminium. They've gone away with Sport and normal kind of naming. So, and then it's $849, I think, for the Space Black one with a Sport buckle. So I think I'm going to go Space Black with a Sport buckle, and she'll get the classic brown leather buckle and stainless steel, which, I came from the Hermes because she really likes Hermes, but I don't think it's worth it. So I'll probably just go eBay on the Hermes band.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically a fashion thing. It is Hermes being a fashion brand, so that's where the pricing is. Now, the next part is Nike Plus models. Now, I'm generally not a fitness guy, but I love the color combinations in these Nike Plus models. Now, what stands out is this lime green, almost yellow color called Volt. Now, when you see that alongside the black and the greys, it's really working for me. I love that color combination. I like the idea of stretchy, breathable band with holes in it. It's divided opinions amongst people online. What do you think about it? Do you think it looks cool, or do you think it looks a bit...
Yeah, so I think not only do we have a divided opinion, I think we have a divided opinion on Apple Slice, because I'm not a huge fan of the Nike Plus. The band design, yeah, I'm quite a huge fan of the partnership, but the band, especially the Volt one, is not working for me. I don't mind the black and grey. So they've got the Volt with a black band and a space grey face, and then they've got a space grey face with a black band and a grey, like these grey inserts, and then they've got the same color combinations with silver faces. So, or is it like, it's a white band with the silver faces, right? So it's white and Volt, and then white and grey. So, look, I think if you don't mind the holes, you could probably find a color combination that works for you. So, but more broadly, they had the director of Nike come on, who was really punting the partnership and was explaining some of the Nike Plus Apple Watch unique features. So it has a unique face, a unique complication on the watch, and I don't think the notifications are unique, but they basically come up with these notifications that say, are we running today? And it's like the simple question that's supposed to get you motivated, or it will pop up with like, Simon's 2 kilometers ahead of you, and then try and get you to catch up to your friends. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting it just for those kind of features, and then probably swapping out the band. If I was to just go space gray, I'll just rather get that one, and I've already got a black band, so I'll use that then.
I think they'll release more Nike Plus bands anyway, probably non-hole versions. I think coming from my opinion of it is I generally like that color combination just in design and stuff like that. You've got something that's muted and that like grey with a vibrant color. I love that sort of thing. But because I'm not into fitness, and because to me it looks very fitness, I would feel a bit pretentious wearing it. I would much more suit the standard band or one of the kind of classier ones that you could see as particularly in like business attire and that sort of thing. So yeah, it definitely has its target audience, but out of all the options, I wouldn't go for that, but I just like the colors. So
from the beginning, I've had Apple Watch. You haven't had Apple Watch. You've kind of said from the beginning that you're holding out for version 2. Now that you've seen Series 2 in all its glory, what's happening there?
Yeah, so basically, I'm still hanging out for this MacBook Pro, which wasn't announced, by the way, but we're expecting it soon, fingers crossed. But a couple of reasons. I love the look of all of it. I just want to see what the next version of the actual physical design, like a slimmer version maybe, or something like that. I mean, I do agree the Series 2 looks awesome, but also tied in with that is I've got very young children. I hate my Apple products getting stuff on them or getting scratched or smudged or anything. And yeah, I feel like that I'd probably not wear it as often as I should because I'd be trying to, keep it on a high shelf or something. So yeah, I mean, I've got reasoning at this stage, but yeah, who knows in the future.
Yeah, just before we move on to the iPhone, quite a few of the people that I've spoken to that already own Apple Watch actually almost all of them are really excited about Series 2 and are looking at upgrading. So I feel that if you had jumped on the bandwagon with us, you probably would be getting Series 2, but you're waiting and you're going to continue waiting. So just for people like that listen to the show that, quite a few of my friends only wear Apple Watch during the workday. They either use something else for workouts or don't want to be bugged when they're at home and completely just relaxing. So if you are that kind of person that you really want it during the workday, get Series 1. Don't bother with Series 2. And just if you do go for a run, just take your phone with you or whatever other exercise. So, and if waterproofing isn't important to you, because it's a really good deal, much cheaper, and like most of the features are not work-related features in Series 2. So
yeah, that's true. And just to point out, the Nike Plus models start at $529, so it's the same price as the standard Series 2, the aluminium ones, and Series 1, which, as we said, is essentially the current Apple Watch with upgraded CPU, starts at $399. So that's much more comfortable price point, I think. So that's pretty good. Hopefully they get a boost of sales of Series 1 from this. Now, of course, next we have the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, though there's one thing I couldn't help but obsessively spot out during the keynote, and that is San Francisco. Now, I think we'll save this topic for episode 12, but I just had to say it. I mean, did you pick up on that? The San Francisco has pulled its way into the packaging and that sort of thing?
I don't have as quite of an eye for the typography as you do, but so I didn't quite notice. But
basically now, I mean, Apple Watch, the logo itself, the font was San Francisco, and it was the only product to use it. And now iPhone, the font that it's in, the word iPhone, is San Francisco. And they're roughly the same weight, so they're keeping that consistent. However, there is it's on the website a lot more, but the main body text in that is still Myriad Apple. So there's this kind of awkward mix, but yeah, plenty to get into another episode. But I just no one online mentioned it, and I had to say it. So there it is. All right, so iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Now, straight off the bat, most of the common rumors we've covered over the past several months came true. Even down to the camera bump mock-up renders, the push-through look that we talked about, the antenna lines and so on. There were not really many surprises. Now, keeping that all in mind, for me, this was still very exciting. Now, the big one is colors. So the video reveal at the start really made the 7 and the Plus very desirable. So by now, most people should know there are two new colors. There's black and jet black. So what's the difference between these, Nick?
So jet black is like a shiny, reflective black. It's super, super dark. It's like crazy dark and reflective. And then the normal black is also a dark black, darker than the sort of slate that we saw on the iPhone 5, but it's matte. It's got like a matte finish. It was quite interesting to see they're really pushing the jet black design and how it goes about. And it was really interesting to watch, but I don't think I'm going to go jet black.
Before we probe you for reasons of that, just to let everyone know, along with this, we have the same gold, rose gold and silver. I want to get into the features soon, but keeping that in mind and what you just mentioned about your hesitation with jet black, what model are you getting? Because it's your time to, your cycle's ended for your iPhone 6, so it's time for your upgrade. What model are you getting, and then ultimately what colour?
So the model I'll be getting probably be the iPhone 7 Plus. These things change all the time in my head, and I'll explain a little bit more later on. But right now, I'm thinking iPhone 7 Plus, 128 gigs enough for me. And color would be the black one. And then my partner's going to get she's still deciding between gold and rose gold, but also iPhone 7 Plus, 128 gigs. So yeah, we're quite keen on the bigger size. As I mentioned before, I always regret getting the 4.7 inch phone. It was kind of like not big enough or not small enough to like really claim, usability on the small side or like nice big screens. So yeah, no more 4.7 inch, despite the price being attractive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, so the jet black itself, Apple it says that they've warned people that it could scratch it easily, but really the wording was a bit different than that. But they're sort of saying if you're worried about scratches on the surface, then to get a case. Now, of course, any glossy surface is prone to scratches. I love the look of it, but I generally actually like smooth matte sort of look. I love the brushed aluminium that they have on the current 6S anyway. So for me, if I were to choose, I'd go just the black. But funnily enough, I actually feel bad for silver in all of this because gold was really popular, rose gold was super popular, and now you've got these two different types of blacks which are just going to fly off the shelves, and silver's just kind of floating out in there now, and I still love silver. Like,
is it time for silver to die?
No, nah, it can't. Like, I'd feel bad for it. I have to hold a little funeral for silver. I don't know. It's just it's a classic color. So if someone really isn't into black and they don't want the gold, rose gold, I mean, you got to have silver. So maybe if silver had a black front, I don't know.
So the black, just on the jet black. So the reason I'm still kind of deciding between jet black and black, is my Apple Watch choice. I really like my devices matching. I've been a little bit poor in keeping them matching with getting the stainless steel watch. But if I get jet black, then, if I get the Apple Watch stainless steel space black, it will match the jet black better than the matte finish of the black. So yeah, I reckon I'm still going to go with just the matte black and then just deal with the shinier watch.
I mean, you just got to be honest here, Nick. I know that you're going to buy one of each because you just won't be able to decide.
Yeah, I might buy one of each of the watches. I might buy a space grey watch and a space black watch, but yeah, we'll see.
All right, so let's dive right into the features. Now, the 7 and 7 Plus, respectively, have the same 4.7 and 5.5 inch screen sizes, the same physical design, pretty much, mostly. It has a new A10 Fusion 4-core CPU, which is pretty exciting. They're now pushing water and dust resistance. Now, the 6S did have a level of water resistance, but they're really pushing it with confidence like they're doing with the Apple Watch Series 2. Has relocated antenna lines, which we have expected for ages, according to rumours. Better battery life, which is always welcome. Now, new stereo speakers. We'll get onto that in a bit. A new home button with Taptic Engine, which I really want to try out. Has new 12 megapixel cameras with f1.8 aperture and a quad true tone flash instead of dual. And both have optical image stabilization, which is really cool because I know myself, I'm just so used to the 4.7 inch size that I would probably be inclined to stick with it. So the fact that 4.7 gets optical image stabilization is cool. So before we actually talk about the difference in the Plus, how do you feel about this lineup of features?
I'm really keen on the features. I think they're all pretty cool. And there's the one omission, which I don't know if we even want to bother getting into, but then there's one that actually means more to me that was omitted, and that's the lack of a true tone display. I really, really, really love the true tone display on my iPad Pro 9.7 inch, and I was really hoping the phone would get that. It's something you don't really notice, but it is really nice. So hopefully the next phone does, and yeah, I don't know if anyone else would even care about it, but yeah, that was lacking for me. But the rest of the features I was really excited about.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. That True Tone display technology is awesome, particularly for me. From a design and sort of display perspective, definitely into that sort of tech. So yeah, it sucks that it's not there, but I'm sure the next iPhone will have it. They had stereo speakers, so we talked about the idea of there being speakers on top of the phone so you could hold it in like a landscape and have stereo sound. And so they announced it on the screen, but I never actually saw a speaker on top. And I'm like, well, where's the sound coming from? It's actually a new, like a redesigned earpiece that's actually a speaker. So
yeah, that
that's
was really impressive.
Yeah. So that's where the sound's coming from, because I was sort of looking at the videos again and looking, and I was like, no one's taking a picture of the top of it. Why aren't they showing where this new speaker is? And I was like, looked into it, and it's actually the earpiece is the speaker. So
yeah, that was really cool. I think so I often rather play stuff on my 4-speaker iPad Pro than on my iPhone. But if I only have my iPhone now, I'll at least get better sound. And yeah, I think it's really cool. So to make the earpiece a fully fledged speaker was pretty cool. One's front facing and one's not, but I don't think that really makes a difference.
Yeah, it's the iPhone isn't quite large enough for that to really matter, I don't think. Now, yeah, this essentially Force Touch home button, we touched on it briefly in a previous episode. Yeah, so it's an actual solid state button, so they're really pushing this waterproofing, so there's no movable part, and it has its taptic engine. So it's essentially like the feel you get from Force Touch and 3D Touch into the home button. I'd be interested to see how it actually works when you're doing bringing up multitasking to switch between the apps, because I've mentioned previously how I don't like actually physically double clicking the button every time because I'm always closing apps and switching and that sort of thing. So it'd be interesting to see how it actually feels with this new home button. But I guess you can tell me that when you get yours.
Yep, and just on it, it's a bit confusing to, I guess, understand a Force Touch home button, because it's basically if you switch the device off and press in, it's just like if you are just pressing glass. There's every bit of feeling that makes it feel like a button is all due to the taptic engine. So yeah, I think that's slightly customizable, which will be interesting to see what you can and can't do with the home button taptic engine, like turn it up or down.
I think there'll probably be that, and there'll also be what they do with 3D Touch, where the sensitivity levels as well. So early reviews have sort of said it feels a bit strange at first, but they sort of quickly get used to it, particularly for 6S owners who have 3D Touch. Now, the dual camera. So in the iPhone 7 Plus, for the first time in an iPhone, we have an incredible dual camera. So you're very looking like you're getting the 7 Plus. What's this dual camera all about?
So the dual camera, there's one wide angle lens and one telephoto lens. So the wide angle is pretty much what we know and love on the normal iPhones. And then there's a 2x zoomed telephoto lens, which is the second one. And then you can just easily switch from one to the other to get 2x optical zoom. And then you get 10x digital, which is basically 5x on the 2x. So it's, yeah, they say 10x zoom, but that's extra 5x digital. And it's so digital zoom is all cropping. So I don't know how much to really look into that being a cool feature, but essentially the 2x optical is pretty cool. And one of the weird things that so they initially just showed it like as being a great feature for zooming, and then they moved on to how awesome it is for portrait photos, which if you've checked out my Instagram, is not usually what I take, but I've recently started getting a bit more keen on portrait photography, so I'll be quite keen to try that out. But so there'll now be a portrait mode in the camera settings, which basically it recognizes a person in the front of an image and blurs the background. That's the bokeh feature that we had mentioned before on the invite. So it's kind of like this really blurry background and a super focused, detailed front person. So that Phil Schiller kind of mentioned that being a extra credit project for their engineers, which very interesting to see. Like we had a lot of free time, so we gave them an extra credit project, and it's not shipping now, it's shipping in a month. So they didn't even say a month. I think they said later this year. So as a free update, I'm so glad it's a free update. But I make fun of it. But
yeah, it's a big feature that they showed for the 7 Plus, and there just must be something that's not 100% ready with it for it to come later. But yeah, I thought the coolest bit that he did was he goes explaining depth of field. He's like, oh, check out this for comparison, this awesome photo from a high quality digital SLR camera, and then this is one that we shot on iPhone. Everyone's like, yay. And he goes, oh, I actually told a lie, that first one was iPhone 7 Plus. That was pretty cool.
That was cool. Because that photo was really impressive. And all the photos they showed, if you watch the keynote after listening to this, all the photos they show are not retouched. So it's just raw, not the file format raw, which on a very side note, if you're a professional photographer, you can now, there's a raw API, so you can capture and edit raw photos. Anyway, on a side note, all the photos they show are just untouched, and they look really beautiful. So, overall, I know a lot of people really upset about the Plus model getting dual camera and saying like, why do I have to go for the bigger one to get the best features? And I don't actually think you're missing out that much. You'll be all right with the 4.7. It's not a game changer, I don't think.
I'd be interested to see if they bring the dual camera to the 4.7 in the next version of iPhone, depending how it goes, how people take to it. I was really interested in it from the perspective of, for the depth of field part of it, but if it's only going to work based on facial recognition, then not so much, because I think it'd be awesome for macro photography, at work, use my phone for shooting video, taking pictures of machinery. I'd love to have depth of field of my phone to get, a real close up, like awesome angle of some machinery, and then it, blurs the background out. So I'd be interested to see with people's tests how portrait mode actually works without faces, because that's mainly what I'm interested in.
Do you reckon you could probably do tap to focus?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I've been using tap to focus for, close-up shots and stuff anyway, if you're taking, photos of flowers or whatever, bees and that sort of thing. And that's worked well. So I'm hoping that maybe they can, between that and the dual camera, that it could get even better. I mean, the whole portrait mode is awesome, but if it's only gonna work for portraits, then it's not as good as I thought it could be.
It sounds like it's pretty specialized use case. I think it will just be portraits.
Yeah, and get your hands on one and test it out and let us know.
Yeah. So we had mentioned that I wouldn't be in a launch wave country, first wave launch country, and I'm not at the moment. But currently the shipping, I think the last I checked was 2 to 3 weeks on the model I wanted. So I'm at least 2 to 3 weeks away from getting one. But it will be cool to see hands-on. So a few of the I don't want to talk about it too much because it's been written to death, but there is no more headphone jack. Surprisingly, I told a friend who was looking to buy headphones this week, I said, on the iPhone 7 there'll be no headphone jack, and they were like, okay, I did not know that. So to some people it would have come as a surprise. Apple did start leaking it in January, and
the keynote happened, and I was sharing it, and people were like, I can't believe they removed the headphone jack. I'm like, I've been talking about this for a year. Like, so many people were surprised. They didn't even know. They're like, oh, this is so dumb. And it was all new news to them, which is crazy.
So they are shipping an adapter in the box, which then people are complaining about, that it's an admission that they were wrong. And I don't know, I have not much more to say on the matter other than the cool AirPods. But if you have anything else to add on.
Oh, yeah. Just what I want to say is, first of all, Lightning AirPods, it's what we expected. That's cool. The adapter, the fact they included it in the box, I didn't expect that. So they're really kind of cautious about it. But when they were, and we'll talk about very soon, when they were about to do the presentation for AirPods, they would use the word courage. And so they're really kind of pushing the fact that Apple are doing this to forward the industry, which we've been championing, that in previous episodes, and we think it's a good move. But just before we do that, quickly on the iPhone 7 Plus, the storage has doubled for both the 7 models and the 6S models. So they've actually doubled the storage on the 6S if you buy one new. And so it's now 32, 128, 256 gig. That's awesome news. And the 7 and 7 Plus have retained the same pricing as the 6S and 6S Plus. So the 7 starts at 1,079 Australian, 7 Plus at 1,269 Australian, and the 6S drops to 929, and the 6S Plus drops to 1,079. So That's cool that they retain the pricing.
And just on the storage upgrades, they've also upgraded storage on iPad models across the line. So everything's doubled except for the iPad Pro models, because they were already at the 32, 128, 256 tiers. There has been a slight price drop on those models. I think the iPad Pro now starts at $849 Australian. It used to be $899. So yeah,
bit of sneaky side news there. It's cool that they did it, but not really many people know about it. So it's good for you to bring that up. Okay, so we mentioned the removable headphone port, Lightning AirPods, the adapter. So the big one is AirPods. So first of all, what do you think of the look of them?
So just to give the listeners an idea, if you haven't seen them, just imagine cutting the cable off of your AirPods where the plastic ends near your ears. That's how they look. So they're just an old earpod with no cables at all. And they're really interesting looking. They basically look like if someone had to go back to when Bluetooth headsets were like a thing, when Bluetooth calling headsets, and design one for 2016, I'm pretty sure this is what they would have come up with, which is just like a thinner version of a Bluetooth headset. So they're cool looking, but I kind of have similar feelings as the ceramic Apple Watch edition, because I don't know if I'll get one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, because when I saw them, I was like, oh, what? Really? Like at first, and then the more I looked at it, I like what they did with the end of it, with that sort of silver tip, and then it's got the microphone in it. That's pretty cool. But what kind of more won me over was actual technology behind it. So you sort of double tap it to engage Siri, which is awesome. If you take one out, it pushes the left and right audio into one earpiece. So if you want to use it kind of like Bluetooth headpiece style, and the fact that when you set it up once, and then it just, in theory, works on all other devices. That's awesome.
It syncs over iCloud. So basically, you pair it from your phone by opening the case, and you just press connect. It's not like you don't go into Bluetooth settings. It just comes up with a notification. You press connect. Then it syncs over all your devices. So as you say, the technology in these things is really cool. So then they've also got these infrared sensors that detect when it's in your ear. So it will automatically push sound from either your phone or your Apple Watch. Whichever one you're using, it will automatically pick up that you've requested audio there and you have them in your ears. So it will work automatically there. They don't only work with iPhone 7. The W1 chip is really interesting. They've included the W1 chip on updated Beats Solo 3s, Power Beats 3, and the new
Beats X.
Beats X. Which are like slightly cheaper than the AirPods, which was really interesting. They go for $200 Australian, I think, which is a reasonable entry level sort of wireless earphone. So yes, they're really cool, and they all feature W1 and will have the same technology in terms of automatic. I'm not sure about automatic switching, but in terms of pairing and going over iCloud. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cool that they're sort of merging the Beats stuff with Apple even more. That was cool. So yeah, for anyone who's interested price-wise, the AirPods are $229 Australian. And now, sort of at first, when I sort of heard the price, I was like, oh, okay. And then I kind of considered the tech in it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. It would suck to lose one. But in comparison, rival Samsung have the Icon X, and they are just literally sit inside your ear. They're small, they're black, or they come in a couple other colors. But yeah, they are far more prone to losing. A, because if you have the dark ones, they'll be harder to find. And B, because there is no stick or extension or whatever coming out of your ear. So I kind of feel like so many people complaining about, oh, what if I drop my AirPods and I lose one? I'm like, yeah, well, take a look at what Samsung's doing. Yeah. And those ones go for $279.
So if you do lose one, which I don't think you would easier than any other earphones, if you do lose one, they're actually selling them individually, which I've read about this morning, which is pretty interesting. I don't have pricing on that, but they're selling them individually. And just briefly comparing them to the Samsung ones, they have the Apple earphones have 5-hour battery life, and the case that you put them in, it's not like the Airpods case. It's an actual carrying case it will then give them 24 hours of battery. It charges in there. And I think it takes 15 minutes or something like that to get up to 5-hour battery life again. So quick charging, and I'm pretty sure you can rely on Apple's 5-hour battery life. Number, comparing that to Samsung, one of the YouTube reviews I saw, the guy said that they were really awesome. His favorite wireless earphones, they're awesome. 1-hour battery life was the most he got out of them, and he thought they were awesome. So, if you're unhappy about 5, the competitors are at 1 and don't have a great case, I don't think, in my opinion. It's also a wireless charging case, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd probably get them because I just like general AirPods anyway. But the technology behind it's awesome. To me, superior product over rivals. But I just think the stupid thing is that for the general public, they're just finding out about the removal of the headphone jack. They think that the wireless AirPods are what comes standard with the iPhone. And they're like, oh, I want normal wide ones. It's like, well, this is actually a separate product altogether. And then they start complaining about, oh, what if I lose one? I'm like, seriously, for unconnected wireless earbuds, this is like ultimately the best that's on offer.
Yeah, people complain about anything. If you lose one, good on you, mate. It's I don't really have a thing to say for you if you're really worried about losing something before you've even bought it. I mean, I lose stationery because I don't care about it. I've never lost my Apple Pencil or anything else like that. So, I don't know. People are funny.
Oh well, it'd be cool to actually see people starting to use them. That sort of, it feels like, as you say, when people seeing you use Apple Watch for payments for Apple Pay, there's that whole future tech vibe to it. But it'll be good to actually see them in person. So I don't know. That sort of about wraps up the keynote. They finished it off with a performance from Sia, which was cool. I don't listen to her music, but, it's cool that they sort of put music at the end of it. But yeah, plenty more to talk about in another episode. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I think particularly important given surveys of what people want out of the next iPhone. Battery life is always the number one request, increased battery life. And this, I'm not sure I buy the headline just in terms of to me, it seems obvious, but the headline is that it's the longest battery life out of any iPhone, which congratulations, but it's at 12 hours LTE browsing on the iPhone 7 and 13 on the iPhone 7 Plus. So, I find those to be the most reliable numbers that they give out because, they also give out wireless audio, wireless video, battery life. And, I never really just only sit listening to audio. So 12 hours or 13 hours, depending on the model, should get you through a day. They released a new battery case for iPhone 7, not the Plus, so it looks very similar with its little battery hump. And yeah, if you want to get that, get longer battery life.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So yeah, overall, I was pretty stoked with it. Very keen to get my hands on Super Mario Run. Very keen to hear your thoughts on Series 2 and 7 Plus, if that's the way you go, whether it's black or jet black, or maybe you might just surprise me and get a rose gold. I don't know. So
I have to get a rose gold watch with the sand pink strap then. So, it will be not quite what I'm looking for. But if I have a change of heart, then I'll get my Apple Watch in pink too.
Well, there you go. And I'm sure some people out there will buy silver. Just do it for me, just for my own peace of mind. So there you go. All right. Well, I would say that wraps up a pretty chock-full episode of Apple Size. If you want to follow either of us on Twitter, I am at SwordToPen, SWORD2PEN. And yourself, Nick?
At Nick_Morris, NIC_Morris. And hit us up with what devices you'll be buying from this keynote.
Oh, definitely. And are you a fan of the removal of the jack? Will you get AirPods? Just let us know. You can do that via our official Twitter page also. That's at AppleSliceAU. And of course, Facebook page, facebook.com/AppleSlicePodcast. All right. So, get in contact with us that way. Jump on iTunes. Give us a review if you'd like. And yeah, I'll catch you in Australia next episode.
Most likely.
Maybe.
We'll see. I'm kind of a gypsy at the moment, so I'll basically book my flight and then go the next day. So hopefully be back in Oz with a Apple Watch and iPhone on order if everything goes well, and then we can chat about it, if not in the next episode, in the one after that.
Awesome. All right, that sounds cool, and I'll catch you then.
Cool. Cheers.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.